Okay, there we go. That's unmuted. We just gotta check YouTube to make sure that things are working. I realized that I could put on like a starting soon thing to make sure it's working and just let that run for a few minutes. But, I don't know. I have to figure that out. Also, I really need to make sure I'm not sitting on my feet. I just fell out of my chair because I was doing that. Ugh. Anyway, welcome back, everyone. Another week down. I'm gonna be honest, this one kind of flew by. Um, yeah, no, especially the last 2 days. It was kind of strange. But yeah, last week kind of, or this last week kind of flew by. Also, I realized I didn't get the PNG again, so okay. Uh, this is really bright. That is a Maduro. That is not what we want. Can I just have like the? Can I just have a P? That is, I don't know why, but just the hyper realism of that one. I don't know. All right, this one will work. We'll get there soon. We'll get there soon. One of these days, I will come back to stream, or I will do a stream, and I will have the PNG on the screen, or I'll just click a single button to reveal it. I won't have to delay due to Streamlabs taking forever to update, which is why we started a little bit late today. And I won't have to I don't know, something else that I do, which the flavor of that burp just reminded me. Nope, not F. S. There we go. Okay. Now we do that. Okay. Now we go over here and we have to edit the smoke. Which, God, I hope that this thing doesn't turn out to be huge. Okay. Don't tell me. Oh, no, it is. Okay, so the image is gigantic. Okay. We're gonna fix this. Okay, it's not that gigantic. I thought it was going to be much larger. Which, shit, that reminds me of my ex-wife. Okay. Alright, there we go. We're going to try and get into this a little bit quicker than normal, because tomorrow's going to be a busy day, because I have... I've got like 5 different places to be. And I know I said that last week, and based on the visage, based on my visage, I know that I completely fucking failed. And maybe not last week, but the week before? I don't know. But I have been doing some bodily experimentation. And the fruits of that experimentation are that I only need 7 hours of sleep in order to, be fully functional. And we've now arrived at the point to where if I get anything less than that, I kind of feel bad. Not terrible, but bad. And if I get more than that, that's when I really start feeling bad. So until I can, kind of reshuffle my schedule again, we're gonna be going on the 7 hour train. Which is going to be great, which is going to be fantastic, because if I'm sleeping less, I have more time for things, The most recent thing on my mind is trying to figure out how to make Dragon Knight in a warrior deck, so that way I can dump Moon Mirror with Ysolde, and, you use, I don't know, like Soul Servant or something, to quick draw it, and so that way I can just build a 3-card board that is essentially immune to everything except a back row banish, which could be cool, which could be fun. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna have to search through cards, or I could ask John for help on that one. Because how would we do this? How would we do this? Because in order to make Dragon Knight, you need Dark Magician and a dragon. Naturally, you can substitute out Dark Magician or the dragon utilizing, I don't know, like Fusion Parasite, King of the Swamp, one of those two, whatever, it doesn't matter. I know, but you need at least 2 warriors. You need at least 3 warriors. You need a level 1 warrior so that way when you dump Moon Mirror, you can whatever. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll just look through. I'll look through every single warrior effect monster if I have to, just to figure it out. You know. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Could this be a job for the Monarchs? Because... No, never mind, she's a fairy type. Ah, fuck. Alright. Never mind, I was about to say, could this be a job for the Monarchs? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if I managed to pull some shit like that with the Monarchs? Oh my god. That would be so funny. It would be funny, but it'd probably be jank as all hell. Considering the Monarchs don't really like having an extra deck if you want to utilize them maximally. And Dark Magician Dragon Knight is an extra deck monster and is one of the 3 cards for the proposed 3-card board. I'm not going to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! The whole time. But, you know, it is something that I enjoy. And now that I got John at the store who, you know, will sling cards with me every couple days, you know, I got a reason to... I got a reason to be faster with, you know, deck creation and stuff. Because, you know, beforehand it's just like, well, Aiden, here's a new deck that I've spent the last few months working on. And then nothing comes of it because Aiden doesn't like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! That often. You know, which, you know, to each their own. It is a grueling experience in game to you know, play. It can be. You know, if you're a meta cuck, then it's not. But if you're doing anything other than, you know, the 2 or more most popular decks, then, you know, kill yourself. I don't care. You're not gonna have a good time most of the time. You know. But I do it anyway because I like the card art and I like deck building. No, I will not play Magic because because I'm not one of those people that belong in a locker. You know, and I will stand by that statement. All right. I am not, you know, I am not a person of locker. All right. Also, you know, for those of you who are like, oh, most people, blah, 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 blah. Fine, all right, you know, I don't belong in a locker, and my BMI isn't high enough to play Magic. All right. Every single person that I've met who plays that goddamn game, it falls into one of those 2 camps. All right, and you know, I will continue to, you know, shit on them. All right. All right, my game is a tumor, and you know, its declining popularity is making it more of a tumor, but also it's really effective at keeping normies out. Your game is being infested with normies and will be ruined by them. You know, so we'll see. We'll see. Also, Wizards of the Coast. You know, I realize that, you know, the counter argument to that is Konami. Whatever. Also, I realize that this whole train is just completely nonsensical. All right. For those of you who are new, there will be times where I will act out both parts of a conversation with someone. All right, I do this all the time out loud at work. I'm fairly certain that the boys have seen it. I'm fairly certain they know just to ignore me when I'm having a schizo moment, where I'm just full schizophrenic. You know, who knows? I need to cut this. I need to light this. We need to go, go, go. I need to be in bed by 5 o'clock, so that way I can get up at noon, and then I don't know, fuck around in town until. Actually, I need to double check my calendar. Because we might. 3 o'clock might not be accurate. Also, I need to not be distracted by email. Okay, what do we got? Yep, that's okay. So what? 3 hours to 3 hours to do anything that I need to do. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Uh, Oh, okay. I thought December was going to be a fun month. Nope. I was wrong. We're not gonna get another funny month until January. Ooh. That's gonna be fun. And then the next one after that is it's not May. It's July. Yeah, baby. Ooh, July's gonna be a super funny month. Anyway, we're not focusing on that. 3 o'clock. I need to be at the clinic at 3 o'clock. And I'm gonna get my money. Anyway. Alright. I'm not gonna talk about Yu-Gi-Oh the whole time. I will explain the Horse Girl title though, and the Where Are They description, because oh boy, this is something. I mean, it's another topic that I've talked about, but I had some memories resurface, so we're gonna talk about that. But it's kind of a. There we go, and maybe I'll get the memories flowing a little bit. Honestly, I have another idea. We could do some cyber stalking. I love cyber stalking. I don't do it enough, honestly. I enjoy it greatly, but fuck, I hesitated way too hard on that. Holy shit. Did I bring the chapstick back here? You'd think if I did, then I put it somewhere not obvious, like a fucking idiot. I don't care. Anywho, is this really gonna be okay? Yeah, let's blow out the particles and we'll find out. Oh yeah, this is gonna be one of those. This is my own fucking fault. I need to remember my own advice and snap like I mean it. You know? Ooh. Yeah, and I know some of you are going to say, oh, GZ, why do you have a Pepsi? You drink Mountain Dew. Yeah, Circle K was closed for register upgrades. So I bought some of these real sugar Pepsis a while back. And we're having to break into that supply because I don't have any other Mountain Dew around. Because usually I go to the Circle K after work to, get a new one, get a Morton to last me through the my little morning routine, and then I go to bed, and then I wake up, and then I got that Morton, and then I go to the gas station. No, so I might actually I might perish. Ugh, is what I would say. However, there is in fact Mountain Dew in this apartment, but it is citrus cherry Mountain Dew, which means it must means it must be saved only for the most special of occasions. Which, I mean, if I were to die, then yeah, I would that would be considered a special occasion where yeah. Why are these all just so terrible? God, every single one of these that I've had have been just not great. I think this is the third one. Pretty sure this is the third one out of that 10 pack that that I've smoked, and they've all had just terrible draws. We're going to be relighting this one frequently because I'm not going to be able to get a good enough draw on it to keep it going. Good Lord. And just as I thought, the draw enhancer is not here. That kind of frustrates me alongside the mismatch for my cigar tools. I've got torches here, all right, and Zippo fuel here, all right. Meanwhile, in my smoking room, I've got, those are where the Zippo lighters are, but it's also where the torch fuel is. There's a mismatch, and I can't ever remember to fucking pack, those things to switch them. So that way, the torch fuel is here, so I can fuel up the fucking torches, and the Zippo fuel is there, so if I decide, oh, I can fuel up a Zippo, blah, 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 I can do that. I keep forgetting. Anyway, let's get lit up. Let's get this going. We only need one match. All right. Come on. Wow, that. All right, we might actually need, the double match setup, or I'm just gonna say fuck it. Hmm. Yeah, not really particularly spicy on light up, but quite earthy. On light up. Hmm. Not bad, not bad. But yeah, that draw is a little bit too hard for my liking. It's got, I don't know. Maybe it'll loosen up as we go. Maybe there's something in here that'll, where it's just densely packed. I don't know. Hmm. Yep. That's an earth. That's an earth that will that goes away quickly, mind you. Uh, yeah, that's an earth that goes away quickly. But so what is the title about? No, the title is about somebody I went to high school with, and that's what the description is also about. So I have mentioned this before. I know I have, but since I don't have social media, from my perspective, everybody that I went to high school with has dropped off the face of the earth. Which, you know, some could say that's my own fault, but social media is bad. So, yeah, I don't use it. Um, you know, and it's only gonna get worse. I mean, come on, let's be real. But yeah, social media is not something that I use. It's not something I was ever really into. I've got one of those hangnails. But because of that, everybody I went to high school with has dropped off the face of the earth. But also from the, if we take a look from the other perspective, one might suggest that I also disappeared. Now, normally I would agree that this is the case. However, nearly everyone I went to high school with, in my graduating class, or at least has or at least had my phone number, which has not changed since high school. So technically speaking, as long as they didn't lose my number, they can still contact me. And it was during one stream last year, if I remember right, where one of my high school classmates did contact me. The astrophysicist, which I still find to be quite funny, but in a humorous way, not an ironic way. All right, just just saying. But yeah, that being said, yes, from my perspective, my classmates have disappeared. But I do know some of their fates, which is, referenced one of which is referenced slightly in the title of today's stream. So let's talk about it. So the horse girl. So the horse girl that I went to high school with, and I'm gonna try and refrain from using names, so we're just gonna refer to her as the horse girl. So the horse girl was, your stereotypical horse girl, stretched out hole and all. And then from what I found out while I was in college, she obviously went to college and will basically just became a huge slut, you know, which I imagine that, you know, I imagine it was just her going through the motions at that point, especially, I know what Sherry said at Taco Bell, but I do not believe in like perfect elasticity. All right, that's it. I don't believe in that. I'm gonna have to ask Donna about it, I guess. She's my, when it comes to vaginology, I trust Donna and her insights. She's a woman. Uh, anyway, so yeah, the horse girl. Last I checked, which was 8 years ago. Holy shit! Wait a minute. Hold on. It's 25, right? I went 8 years, 7 years. Hold on. Okay, I graduated in 16, but I was also in college in 16. It wasn't until 18. 7 years. Say it's been 7 years. She's probably still a whore, if I had to guess. You know, probably graduated from college, went back to the horse farm to be with the horses. We all know why. So yeah, horse girl. That's her fate. So as for the astrophysicist, right? She moved to a completely different part of the country in order to pursue a degree in astrophysics. And then she succeeded, which, hey, I don't understand astrophysics. I didn't study astrophysics in college. So this is quite impressive. And, when we communicated last year, so this is probably the most recent out of all of them, she was employed to work on a number of secret projects that she couldn't talk about, which, I don't, during that conversation, I asked, oh, hey, can you not talk about it? And then instead of saying yes, she gave a roundabout answer, and my response was, so yes, got it. I mean, it's just a straightforward answer. Like, can you talk about this? No. Not, well. It's like, okay, so no, you can't. Okay, cool. Okay, who else do I know about? Let me try and remember. Uh, okay, we're gonna try and get the memories to flow here, because, let me just try and remember absolutely everyone. Fuck, that didn't work out at all. Okay, really, I only have tabs on like three of them or more. I mean, I guess one of them became like this absolutely gigantic adipose abomination. You know, not that that's surprising. And that's probably more than one, but at least, there's one specifically that comes to mind. I really need to do more cyber stalking. Jesus. I'm curious. I'm immensely curious, but, you know, there's one in particular, though, that I remember. Interesting, interesting, and he's been on an interesting journey. Let's say. So this one that I remember, well, the memories are coming back. So as I speak, I will be able to remember more and more. So, right. So if memory serves, this particular classmate from my high school graduating class went to college for engineering. The the strain of studying engineering alongside what I estimate to be several back home related issues, we'll call them, caused a mental break, which then caused this person to switch majors a bit late. And keep in mind, I might not be remembering correctly. It's been a number of years since we last conversed. Partially my fault, but communication does work two ways. My DMs are open. Mm. But anyway, so this caused a mental break, which led to a major change to history, I think, something along those lines. Which he did graduate eventually, and then came out of the closet. And from what I remember is, living relatively well with a partner, so another happy ending. Another happy ending. I really need to do more cyber stalking. Holy shit. Okay. All right. Let me keep digging through the memories here. See if I can remember anything else. I think Aiden told me that at least two of them, or maybe it was CMD, at least two of them that I went to school with, uh, are now employed at the high school as I think tech support or junior high. Hold on, let's look this one up. Staff directory. Oh, I love publicly available staff directories. Oh, this is going to be good. All departments. So this is. Can I do this? Oh, okay. So we don't have pictures. We don't have pictures, which kind of sucks because, uh, women, their last names change when they get married. So some of these people could be people that I went to high school with, but their last names changed, and I can't verify because I don't have pictures to go on. Because I recognize these people, but I can recognize these people by their faces. I know. All right, so let's see what we've got here, though. I recognize a lot of these. I recognize a lot of these people. Uh, just Now that's an interesting one. Now that's an interesting one because I remember this. Oh, hey, there we go. More memories coming back. There we go. We just had to do some light cyber stalking. But there's one. There's one. Apparently became a teacher. Good for her. Let's see. Anybody else? Wow. Really? Only one? Wow. I'm shocked. Really? Hold on. Hold on, I have an idea. Let's try. Why are there two different staff directory websites? Oh, hey, there we go. We got pictures. We got pictures. Well, we have some pictures. Uh, we have some pictures. Uh, okay. Okay, some of these I don't even I don't even recognize. Others I do. Um, do, 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 do. I remember the why does she look like that? I remember the football coach who also taught TV class. I heard he got fired, if I remember correctly, which just what how how and the funniest part of that is that not only did he get fired, but his replacement is worse than him at coaching football. Which how how do you have like a bottom of the barrel trash ass football coach and you fire him? I mean, I guess you could think, oh, we have nowhere to go but up. But then you realize that you hadn't hit rock bottom for football coaches. Not that I particularly care, but it's just another thing that I find so humorous, right? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. How is this possible? Ugh. But yeah, anyway, doing that did get the memories going. Apparently, one of my high school classmates is a teacher at the shit. I didn't pay attention, but a teacher at either the junior high or the high school. Good on her. She married a guy, and then he went bald. The guy she married was, I think, a grade or two, was a year or two ahead of us. But she married him, and then he went bald, which devastates me. Um, didn't somebody else marry somebody who went bald? Oh, wait, there we go. More memories. Got it. But yeah, no, she married that guy and he went bald, which hurts me on a certain kind of level. And I'm not sure why. No, I know why. It's cuz, I knew that guy. He was a good guy. He did not deserve to go bald. So I gotta fix this at some point. Anyway, but yeah, he did not deserve to go bald. Another guy I went to high school with, he just went to work at a factory. He also went bald. It's like, but the thing is though too is him the factory worker. He had fantastic hair. I'm pretty sure at one point he had a full afro and he's white. He went bald. I mean, I understand, the whole like, oh, baldness affects like what, 2 out of 3 men? Well, there's the 2 men. Am I the third man? I don't know. I mean, some people, my dad's fucking wife, has been telling me that I've been going bald for years. It's been a decade, and I understand. I understand that I have, the high up hairline. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. However, if I'm going bald because I have the high up hairline, my nieces are also going bald because they have the high up hairline. All right, my father is going bald because he has the high up hairline. My uncles and my aunt are going bald because of the high up hairline. My brother and 2 of my sisters are going to go bald because they have the high up hairline. The pattern here is the hairline that all of us have, all those people that I just listed and more. That's the exact same hairline that Grandpa had. You know? And the funny thing is that shortly after my youngest niece was born, at least I think she's my youngest niece. It might have changed. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with that for now. The funniest thing is when my youngest niece was born, and we were at, I don't know, Thanksgiving or Christmas, I don't remember. Grandpa was holding her, and he got my attention, and he said, "You see that?" And he pointed at, her forehead, her hairline, her high up hairline, and I went, "Yep, I went, "Yep, that's the hairline." And he nodded. He went, "Yeah, that's how you know which family she's from, Grandpa." You know, we all have Grandpa's hairline. You know, and if that means that we're if me having Grandpa's hairline means that I'm going to go bald, Rita, then that means everybody else in the family is also going to go bald, Rita, including at minimum 5 women. I'm not gonna. Man, I sure am fortunate that my dad doesn't watch these live streams. Oh God, it's already tough enough sometimes when mom watches them because I have to interact with her butthole antics in my chat. But if my dad was also in the chat, then oh good God, oh good God. Then again, technology was never really his strong suit, so he might not be able to figure out the chat, which is good, which is good. Oh, okay. Anyway, let's see if let me think if any other memories have come up. Wait a minute, there's the guy who I went to high school with. He's on a billboard and he works for a bank? I'm pretty sure it's a bank. I'm pretty sure he works for a bank and he's on a billboard, which is hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I'm gonna try and remember some more. Might have to do a little bit more cyber stalking, but yeah, you know, see, yeah, on a billboard, and then we have me. I went to college and had I learned quite a lot about myself, and also obtained some memory gaps, which I have a prevailing theory on the reason why those gaps exist, but I'm gonna have to confirm with some people. Anyway, learned a lot about myself, and then graduated with a double major that I was convinced to get into damn near close to last minute, and then the 4 years after that, after graduating from undergrad, was just straight suffering. That was cool. Straight suffering as opposed to gay suffering. But and then here we are, 2025, and I think I'm doing all right. Still lonely, but that's mostly my fault. And I sit here and I rant on my YouTube channel with a cigar every week. At least I try to every week. I think I've done this every week since I started back up in July. With the car streams, which watch next year. You guys are gonna see some early morning smoke streams in July where it's like nostalgic car stream, and, because because intermittently I think that's funny. So I mean I don't think it's funny now, but in about a year I'm gonna think it's funny again and go, yes, we will do a car stream and I'll have a thumbnail where it's me holding a match wearing a hat, with the cigar in my mouth. It's gonna be great. But say that's for future me to decide upon. I'm not gonna forbid myself from doing it because who's gonna stop me? Me? Really? Yeah, okay. But you know what? Let's go on Facebook. Let's do some cyber stalking. Can you access Facebook without an account? Wait a minute, I have a sock account. Which that doesn't make sense because I don't even have a main account. Okay. So let's do some cyber stalking. Chat history is missing. I don't give a shit. Okay, so what is going on? Let's start looking at people's profiles just for fun. All right. All right. Well, what the hell? Um, All right. Well, we gotta keep stalking people. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So we're just gonna go through this guy's friends list because I know we had a lot of. I know he's friends with a lot of people who I went to high school with. Which, hey, we've already got some memories coming through. So one of these people on this list, he's in prison due to drug-related offenses, which I do not agree with because if you're an adult, you should be allowed to, smoke meth. If you're an adult, just like the whole like smoking thing, when they raise the smoking age to 21, but the military age is still 18. My personal belief is this: if you are allowed by law to enlist in the military, which carries with it a higher than average chance that you will be shot and killed or exploded into giblets, you should be allowed to do drugs and drink alcohol. It's just a personal belief, you know. That being said, if they for some reason, which they're not going to, but if they for some reason raised the legal age to join the military to 21, I mean, hey, at least the tobacco, the drinking, and the military are all the same thing, which is one thing that again, which is again, if you can go into a job where there is a higher than average risk of being shot and killed or exploded to death, yeah, you should be able to drink and smoke. However, this also expands to other drugs. Like, again, if you're legally allowed to, die for your country, quote unquote, you should be able to do like hard drugs and drink alcohol and soft drugs. But that's just me. That's just me. So let's do some cyber stalking here. So let's see. So yeah, one of them went to jail. Looks like she got married. Looks like she got married. Doesn't look like she's married. A pharmacist. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Looks like he got married. We're just gonna stalk all these people. I don't give a shit, dude. Let's see. She's the astrophysicist. She looks like she's doing okay. Looks like she might have gotten married. She got married. Cool. Oh, she's a farmer. Sweet. Hmm. Hmm. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep looking. Let's just keep low. Let's just keep going. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fine. Uh, let's see. See, she looks like she's a teacher now somewhere, which, hey, good on you. I'm pretty sure both of my sisters went to uh went to college and uh went to college for teaching. And you want to guess how many of my two sisters that I'm speaking of right now are teachers? The answer is zero. But whatever. Okay, well let's go down the list here. So let's see. We got one of our guys also in pizza. Hell yeah, dude. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait wait a minute. He works for a different pizza place than I do, but I've delivered to him so many times. That's funny to me. That's funny to me. Oh, this is an old post. This one hasn't been updated in like 10 years. What the fuck's he doing? Well, I hope he's doing well for himself. He was one of the more entertaining people. She did get married. Sweet. And she got a kid. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. We're gonna have to do some like advanced. We're gonna have to do advanced talking. This hasn't been done in like a year. Oh, she got married. Who the fuck is she married to? It's not that guy she dated in high school. At least I don't think so. What the hell? Ah, well. Alright, who's next? Let's see. Yeah, he got married. Hell yeah. So yeah, see, there we go. We're doing some catching up. We're doing some catching up. Um, so it looks like he got a house in town. Nice. Nice. Can't see the dates on these, so I'm going to assume they're from this year. Let's see, she got married, it looks like. Cool. Cool. Well, it seems like a lot of them got married. And, pretty sure she does radio. Neato. Let's see. She got married. Why is it that fucking everybody got married? Yeah, she did get married. Hell yeah. And she's a farmer now. She was in the Future Farmers of America thing. He works at the college? What? Really? This guy. Holy shit. We got a guy who actually works for the college he went to. Holy shit. That's wild. That's wild. She looks like she's having fun, you know, living life. Let's see. Studied elementary education, so quite possibly an elementary school teacher. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. That's great. That's fantastic. I enjoy that. I enjoy that. And see, that's some good news when I'm, you know, on my cyber stalking crusade. Um, you know, Yeah, it's you know most of the shit that I see when I do my cyber stalking is just one of my college roommates just reposting absolutely everything from just various political groups, and it's exhausting. It is exhausting to see. I'm gonna do more cyber stalking if I have time. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Also, I really need to, I guess I could use that Facebook account as my main, promote the channel and reconnect with some of these people, figure out what's going on. Those. My God, I just remembered. One of the people that I went to high school with was a shooter, and he was apprehended. Like he had a fucking Kevlar vest, and you know, and weaponry, and he attempted the shooting, and he was apprehended. It wasn't me. Like they all thought it was going to be. It wasn't me like they thought it was going to be. Oh, God. I haven't even killed anybody yet. Like they expected me to. Hmm. I haven't even killed anybody yet like they thought I would. They probably thought most of these people I went to high school with probably expect me to either be imprisoned for attempting a shooting or dead because I attempted a shooting. Well, guess what? I'm still here. I'm still here. And while I might be lonely and miserable, at least I didn't go to jail. I'm not in prison for attempting a shooting. Ugh. Now that being said, if that one customer, if one of my boys was stupid enough to give my address to that one customer, I probably would be in prison. But the boys have taken the various lessons that I learned at Taco Bell and have passed on to them. They have taken those lessons quite seriously, it seems. You know, and it's like I've told the boys. You know, I don't expect you to agree with me when I say things, a certain way, or when, I explain certain things that I do as a carryover from Taco Bell. I don't expect agreement from the boys, and like I said, I've said that to them. But I at least want to explain why I do things a certain way, why I strongly adhere to certain policies. I just want you to understand why. I don't expect agreement, but I will try to explain so that way, the boys understand, right? And that's just, yeah, that's just, yeah, and you know, as sometimes I'm really disappointed with the younger generations, but then, I can say stuff like that to the boys, and they'll get it. I'll say something like that, and they're like, okay, that makes sense, and then I'll, go on to explain something that I do, that's a holdover from Taco Bell, and they'll get it. They'll understand. Okay, this is why you do things like that. All right. They I mean, I imagine they don't always agree. I mean, they don't express their disagreement, but I guess that's what happens when you're the boss. But they get it. And now we've gotten to the point to where they've started to emulate me a little bit, which for better or worse. I mean, for those of you that watched the last live stream and the 3 hour Taco Bell negative review portion, it yeah, maybe some emulations are not the greatest, but hey, there we go. But you know, I'm not a shooter. I'm not even a. I'm not a dead attempt, and I didn't even try. Uh, it's just because the desire never outstripped my will. You know, that and there have been you know there have been enough portions of there have been enough portions of my life where it's just it's good enough to where where most of the time I don't even think about it. I still think about it though. You know, there's a reason why I don't visit Taco Bell during the day because at that point that's just that's just me setting up to test my own willpower, which you know all things fail eventually. Nothing is forever, and you know that includes me keeping a hold on the bad desires that I have. But hey, as long as long as life stays good, we'll be good. You know, maybe one day I'll maybe one day I'll after the boys kidnap me and force me into environments that I wouldn't go to by myself. Maybe I'll find something to you know wrangle me physically and mentally. You know, I don't know. No, we've gotten from like earth to wood. You know, and I am one thing. Hold on, I'm gonna do a little test here. Hold on. Okay, so I have a napkin on my desk, all right? And this one particular napkin, I'm gonna hold it up for the camera. This one particular napkin, you might see it has these spots on it, right? These spots on this napkin are tar from different cigars. And tar buildup can happen as a result of, kind of drawing too hard or too frequently. Now, remember what I said at the beginning of stream, how the draw on this thing is really difficult? I just did a test on the napkin where I, pushed the part of the cigar that I, put up to my mouth onto the napkin and kind of like rub it a little bit. It did not leave a spot, which, I will give this cigar this. It's got a pretty hard draw on it, but it hasn't tarred up yet. We're only about a third of the way through, so I'll do another test once we get about halfway. But that's just how it be. It hasn't tarred up yet. Just my imagination. I thought I felt some leaf come off into my mouth. Oh my god. It just reminds me when I had braces. That would suck. All right, that sucked. Having braces just in general sucked. All right. If somebody had told me, "Hey man, yeah, you're not gonna have those you're not gonna have those parts of your mouth that get caught in between your teeth, and just rip open, which will then hurt a lot because of your really salty diet." If somebody had told me like, hey, the cost for that is going to be, I think, almost 2 years of constant pain, and your dining time is going to be twice as long because you're going to have to spend about half of it sucking food out of your teeth, no matter what it is. All right, I tried to, for the most part, I lived on a diet of fucking rice and various accompaniments. All right, it was the most miserable experience of my life. Just 2-3 years of fucking just horrendous pain all the time. I was not sleeping well. I eating just became a chore that I just utterly hated. And, you know, having to, and also the kind of like cement deposits that they would use to keep me from biting down on the bottom brackets would get worn down so quickly. I ended up buying a separate mouth guard to for while I sleep and stuff, to prevent me from doing that in the night and waking me up, making the pain worse. Oh, and it just seemed like it was never going to end. It just seemed like it was never going to end. So it got to the point to where I was just so tired of it because it was just delay after delay. 6 months. So, they told me, oh yeah, it'll probably be at during this time, like a year and a half from now. I'm pretty sure they told me a year and a half, and I went, okay, that's 18 months. That's not great, but that's also not that long, by comparison. I'm pretty sure we got to the 2 year mark, and just a little bit after that, eventually, there was I begged the orthodontist, like, I'm done. Please free me from this. Like, I can't, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the pain anymore. You know, and so it's like, okay, well, we'll get your retainers. We'll get a mold of your teeth for your retainers, and you know, uh, you're gonna have to sign these forms that say yes, you wanted to take them off, and so anything that happens as a result of that is on you. And it's like, okay, fine, fine, just please. And then I was having monthly appointments with these people, for that entire time, right? That last appointment where I begged them, well, the second to last appointment where I begged them to take them off. They were like, okay, well, we'll get that done. And then it was like, come back in 2 months. It's like, oh, you fuckers. Oh, you fuckers. You fuckers. So 2 months of just those last 2 months of just straight suffering. Just straight suffering. But I got my retainers. My teeth are not completely straight, but they're significantly straightened, which I appreciate greatly. Was it money well spent? Yes. Yes, I don't have the tears in my mouth. I'm pretty sure I've gone over this multiple times on stream, but yeah, we loop, of course. But I don't have the tears in my mouth anymore, which, thank God. Oh, thank God I was able to hold out. Because yeah, the pain of it all just drove me absolutely fucking nuts. Also, I have to empty this ashtray. Good Lord. But yeah, the pain just drove me absolutely fucking nuts, and not being able to eat anything drove me fucking nuts. Uh, and then I got the retainers, and they're like, look, you need to wear them basically all the time for like the first 6 months, and then after that, just wear them at night to sleep. And they didn't tell me how long to wear them at night to sleep for. And then once I moved here to Martin, I stopped wearing them entirely. Basically, I still do occasionally. But I learned that it's probably good, that if I were to do that, it'd probably be like a rest of your life kind of thing. Because when I do occasionally wear the retainers, they don't fit the same because my teeth have moved. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with the way they've set with the position that they've settled in. I mean, yeah, there has been some reversal of where they've settled. There's no other word for it. Is they've kind of settled into positions, and it's only a slight reversal. So money well spent. Money well spent. That was $5,000. That was $5,000 for that. Half of which I had to pay up front, which necessitated taking out a loan, because I was not ready for that. I was ready for a cost. All right, I was ready for a cost. I was not ready for $5,000. Half of which they wanted up front. So that necessitated taking out a loan, which has been paid off. But money well spent. But that being said, if I encounter somebody young who's like, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting braces," I will be the person that I wish that I had, where I will warn them, is like, "Look, there is the possibility that you will experience constant pain throughout. You will also not be able to eat anything and enjoy it. All right, eating will become a chore that you just do because it's a biological requirement. All right, you will eat as little as possible because it's going to be that much of a pain in the ass. All right, and I will hope and pray that the time that you're forced to have those is short, because getting those things off, getting those things off was amazing. Being able to eat again was amazing. I still hate doing it because if I didn't have to, I wouldn't, obviously. But my God, I can enjoy food again. I can enjoy something, good. But yeah, it's good stuff. Um, yeah, like I said, money well spent. And I couldn't I couldn't I couldn't do I couldn't do what was I all right, let me think. Hold on. I I couldn't I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say, so I'm just gonna say something related. I did have to relearn how to, kind of. I kind of had to relearn how to speak in a little bit. The one thing that I did notice was like th sounds were a little bit tricky once some pretty major shifts had happened, and I remember this. Uh, I remember this. I remember that there was one night at Taco Bell. I said the word sixth, and I botched it because my teeth had moved. So speaking that the tongue movements and all that were different. So I was like, wait, what? So I botched it and I heard myself. I was like, sixth. So I kind of had to. I said it to myself, and Dave was just kind of standing there like, what are you doing? I'm fucking trying to figure out how to, you know, fucking, yeah. I'm trying to figure out, what the hell, I'm trying to figure out how to fucking speak again. Which, hey, I figured it out. Chewing also was different because again my teeth had aligned. So, chewing once I got the braces off was okay. So I had to relearn chewing twice. I had to relearn chewing the first time to compensate for the braces, and because I had these things on the back of my teeth that kept me from biting down all the way. And then after that, after those were gone and everything had lined up, I had to relearn how to chew again so that I wouldn't bite my tongue and shit. You know. So, it's whatever. You know, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, I'm better now. I'm much better. I'm much better now than I was. I didn't become a shooter. It's gonna be something that I keep coming back to. It's like I didn't become a shooter. And so, neener neener. Uh, did I lose my cherry just now? Or no, I ashed it. We've just burned this far down. Oh, that's really woody. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to I'm definitely gonna have to do some cyber stalking so we can get out there and figure out what's going on with people out in the world, see what's going on. I'm gonna have to make some posts so that way people know it. Like, hey, guess who? Uh, also, honestly, since this live stream is supposed to be about high school experiences, which I guess the braces thing is kind of something most people go through in high school. I didn't. I waited until after undergrad when I started working full time and stuff and had more money and spent so much on Genshin Impact. Oh my god. I'm gonna get my money's worth out of that game. I'm not gonna spend any more on that game because it's hard enough to sit down and play it because I've fallen so far behind and there's so much grinding that I need to do. I'm not complaining about that. That's the thing I like about Genshin is just the inexhaustible list of things to just grind. All right, that's why I still play that game on occasion. But I'm gonna get my money's worth out of that game. I swear to God. If I have to play 12,000 hours of Genshin Impact to reach the point to where I feel like I've gotten my money's worth, well, fuck. I guess my account is gonna be developed. There's gonna be a certain point to where there's nothing else that I've gotten except for like the free shit. But damn, what I do have will be developed. And I don't give a shit. I'll do it. I'll do it. I don't care. Uh, but high school, right? It's 2025. I graduated in 2016, and I hope and pray to God that somebody reaches out. If I don't find out, then I hope somebody reaches out and tells me, "Hey, we're having a 10-year, like little reunion thing. Why don't you attend?" Oh man. Oh man, that's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up there just surprise everybody. Like, guess who? Guess who? Guess who? It's me. I'm not a shooter. I'm still alive. I will take the necessary time off work. I don't care. It's gonna be that one period of what's probably going to end up being only a few hours is going to be so much fun because I know there's going to be people who are going to be surprised to see me alive, not in prison, and not in a newspaper or on some terrible online article. Guess who? Uh, I'm also compared to high school, I'm definitely a lot more jovial most of the time. I mean, I guess I was in high school, you know, But it's since high school I have gotten better in a lot of areas. I've also gotten worse in a lot of areas. But you know, it'll be great. It'll be great to catch up with everyone, find out what they've been up to. So, be like, oh, and then tell people like, oh yeah, I knew that because I cyber stalked you. I cyber stalked you. It's great. I know. I'm aware. I'm just gonna. I realize I probably shouldn't, check email, but just a quick check. Just a quick check. I don't understand why YouTube keeps sending me emails telling me that I'm live. It's my channel. I'm aware. I mean, I guess if I got hacked, I'd be like, wait a minute, what? But nobody's gonna hack my channel to give me a crypto scam. Turn my channel into a crypto scam channel, and if they do, I guess I'll gain a lot of viewership and subscribers. So that way, when I take my channel back, I'll have a whole bunch of people who will be confused that I'm not trying to crypto scam them. No, I just develop a TTRPG and I, fuck around and smoke. I play games, while smoking. I did think about putting Azure Lane up for this, so that way, just something on screen that's not, my visage and me struggling to smoke this. But I've decided against it. Also, how long does nicotine stay in your system? Oh, wow. Okay. So, so let's see. So, nicotine has a half-life of around 2 hours. Oh, sweet. Which means that, as long as I don't smoke 2 hours, as long as I don't smoke like 2 hours before. Hold on. How long does nicotine uh affect the not the circulatory system, affect blood vessels? That works for me. Let's see. So if it's for a short duration, with its vasoconstrictive effects on blood vessels lasting up to several hours after use, causing immediate. Let's see. All right. So immediate constriction lasts for several hours. Within 2 hours of quitting, circulation will start to improve. Right. Heart rate and blood pressure will begin to drop with it. Okay, yeah, it's a stimulant. Yeah, okay. Um, let's see. Fucking Healthline is probably good enough. Oh, hello. Stop. Stop. I don't want cookies. Just give me the fucking... Oh, wow. A tracking-free version of the website is unavailable. Can I please? All right. You know what? No. Uh... Alright, so nicotine constricts blood vessels. Yeah, this National Institute of Health. This seems like it's, cardiovascular disease. I'm not looking for that. I'm gonna have to really just. Alright, that's a scientific art. That's a study. Nicotine grows new blood vessels. That's weird. For blood vessels to heal. Alright. So this is gonna have to be something that I just, gonna have to, several hours. We're just gonna go with that. We're just gonna go with several hours, which is fine because there's going to be several hours in between now and my appointment, which is in approximately 10 and a half hours. Alright, so that's several hours. I should be good. I mean, I did make the mistake one time, and, flow was low. I was well hydrated, but flow was low, and it did cause a little bit of pain. But, if that's just how it is, that's just how it is. All right, I'll just, do like a Thursday or something. I'm doing Wednesday this week because, it's convenient. But yeah. But yeah, going to that 10-year high school reunion, if it happens, God, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be so much fun for me. See, and I realize it's been, something that I've talked about over several streams, where some people are like, oh, you don't like socializing. That might be the impression that, that some people arrive at. And that is approximately half correct. All right. When it comes to socializing, I am apprehensive about meeting new people, which I imagine, that's everybody. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's, that seems like that's probably a lot of people. So that's probably nothing surprising. I generally enjoy socializing, with people that I know and, enjoy the company of. Man, but when it comes to people that I knew, when it comes to people that I knew, haven't seen or spoken to in some time, oh, I love that. Oh, I love that greatly. And the longer the time period when I finally reintroduce myself, oh, it's good for me. It's good for me. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. That being said, if I arrive in Greensburg early enough tomorrow, we're gonna have one of those little reintroductions, I think, to a certain somebody I haven't spoken to in a number. I haven't spoken to in person at length since undergrad, and I think it's going to be great fun. I think it's going to be rather enlightening. We'll see how it goes, though. You know, it's especially fun. It's especially fun to interact with my siblings because I don't interact with them often at all. And there are, considering that they've kind of spread themselves out a little bit, which also includes me because I've moved. Oh, it's great fun. It's great fun. I remember the last time that we were all together. you know, One of them said to me, "Oh, it was good to see, it was good to see you." And my response was, "Well, yeah, of course it was." Which, given that we were at a funeral, that little piece of humor, I think, greatly lightened the mood. You know, well, of course it was. Of course it was good. It's me. Are you joking? Of course it'd be great to see me. I'm the best. You know? I am the best brother that you have. Not that I have much competition, but, that being said, I'm the best brother you have. Eh, you know, I think that'll be something I talk to Dad about. I'll call him tomorrow while I'm driving, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm on my way to the plasma clinic." It'll be a short 45-ish minute conversation. He'll ask me about that. It's like, "Yeah, I do this, for money, because I gotta buy these somehow with something. I can't just write an IOU to CI and hope they'll accept it. So if I don't want it to impact my budget over much, we got to do this. So that's whatever. So yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, I realize, what I said. It's gonna be tomorrow if I get there early enough, and do this little reintroduction. It'll be a whole contact thing. Oh yeah, I think it'll be great fun. I think it'll be great fun. I think it'll be insightful. Because I mean, when I reintroduce myself, people see how I've changed, and I see how the person that I'm being reintroduced to changes. I do enjoy socializing with people. It's just where the apprehension and resistance comes in to, it's just, oh, hey, we're going to throw you into a new environment. Which again, I don't think that's a strange thing to say. Oh, I don't like going to new places. I mean, you know, whatever. I don't know. I'm kind of looping again. I don't know. I'm definitely not gonna get into bed at 5. It's gonna be a little bit after, but hey, whatever. I get whatever. I guess whatever. Ah. People are gonna ask what I've been up to. It's like, well, I work and ramble about my life on my YouTube channel. It's all here. It's all documented. You can tune in every week or watch the VOD if you're not up at fucking 3 a.m. like I am. God, I belong on night shift. Moving, having my schedule moved over to where I'm closing. God, I belong on night shift because it's just what I've done since undergrad. But with the revelation of the 7 hours of sleep thing, oh my God, I can participate in day life and night life at the same time. I just don't really, it's just kind of that early afternoon life, depending on what time I actually go to sleep. That can be kind of sketchy. That, and if I go to bed, really, really late, like I have been this week, which again, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm doing what I want, I guess. I really shouldn't complain, but sometimes it feels like I don't do as much as I want to, at least in terms of like gaming. I don't play enough Mecha Break for my liking, or Helldivers. The problem with Helldivers is I play primarily with randoms, and randoms can either be good or bad, and there's a wide spectrum, you know. And if I get a bunch of bad randoms, it kind of sours my mood, and I don't want to play anymore. So I put it down and do something else, and then I get frustrated with myself. It's like I should have played more Helldivers. I got grinding to do, you know. And then other times, like, hell yeah, dude, I am having a blast. And then we'll do one op, and I have to find a new group. It's like, fuck me. Shit. I don't have a consistent group that I play with, and it kind of sucks. It really sucks. Which again is partially my own fault because I don't have friends. But I complain. I complain because maybe someday, I will sit here, I will listen to myself complain about these problems that are caused by me, and I will do something about it one day. Perhaps, mayhaps. But until then, I guess I'll just continue to sit here and complain. And, you know, whatever. I mean, shit, I'm not miserable like I was last year. Hell. Working, 70, 80 hours a week, you know, while financially beneficial, was not an experience that would lead one to happiness. I mean, maybe if you're a like hardcore workaholic, but I didn't have time for anything else. I lived off of naps and Taco Bell food. God damn, I steak chalupas though. Mm. But I've also got to do a shift inspection. Because let's see. Let me think. Let me think. Wednesday into Thursday is when the crew is there, but not Thursday into Friday. Right? That sounds right. That sounds right to me. I might just go in during the day, let God put up something to test me, see if my will is still strong. That, and I've also been tempted to go to I've also been tempted to go to the store in a completely different town that my former boss has been reassigned to, just to well, because for I think I said this last stream, but my former boss, my taco boss, he's been demoted, and he's been moved to a different store, and I kind of want to gloat. I kind of want to gloat because the one thing that has not changed about my personality for quite some time, quite most of my life even, is that I'm still quite a bit of an egoist. I'm still quite a bit of an egoist. Hmm. Which comes with its own drawbacks, but I like gloating. I like gloating. So, to gloat to saggy tits, ooh, 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 I love that. I love the idea of it. To be like, hey, look at that. Look at how far you've fallen, and I've risen up. Hmm. Oh God. Oh hell. Growing up, I was way more narcissistic, growing up. And nowadays I kind of just, for the most part, play it as play it for laughs. Like at the funeral. Oh, it was good to see you. Well, of course it is. It's me. I didn't say it's me, but I just said, oh, of course it was. But I play it for laughs now. You know, some people are like, "Oh, you're too serious." No, I'm not. Only to certain people and in certain situations. If I'm on the clock, yeah. If I'm on the clock and not dealing with my boys, we're, you know, work mode. That's just what people do. That's normal. But if it's with the boys, oh yeah, I'm jovial. We'll make jokes. It's whatever. I mean, shit. One of the running jokes in the store is that one of the boys is a fucking lizard. You know, meaning he's like a lizard man, like Mark Fuckerberg. You know, because he's just so he just doesn't have he just doesn't have like human instincts. You know, I he just doesn't he's just a weirdo, but not in a way that you'll kind of get used to it, and he'll kind of normalize over time as he adapts, which I guess is what I do as a real life mimic. But it's just it struck me as odd. There's also one of the boys who works there who for the longest time was kind of distant and quiet, did his job. Now he's really starting to open up, and that makes me uncomfortable. I it's a weird thing to say. It's a weird what I'm gonna say next is gonna be really strange. All right, but it put I shift into I shift into kind of a defensive, ready to attack stance when I see this kid smile, because he just didn't for so long. It just kind of I see it, and then kind of you just kind of like tense up in certain areas, and you're just ready to like leap at him. You know, I don't. I don't, but I'm ready to. I don't like it, but it's harmless, and I just need to get over it. But that's a really fucked up thing to say. That's a really fucked up thing to say. But that's for so long he was just so kind of ghostly and unassuming, and now he's yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm taking greater notice. I don't know. Who knows? The boys know what I'm talking about because I've described it to them. But whatever. Yeah. Ah well. There's a couple of other things that I've been thinking about recently, but those are just in the pre-thinking stages. Not genuine contemplation, but more remembrance of the idea. We'll get to that. We'll get to that eventually, which may lead to some funny news in the future. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I miss the people I went to high school with. They were entertaining. You know, they were entertaining, and despite my, thoughts about, them not keeping contact after high school because they thought I was going to kill them, and now they're, separated from me and therefore mostly out of danger. I'm pretty sure that's just me, being in my own head too much, and people just drift apart, when they're not together geographically. Because I didn't go to the same colleges as them. I went to a completely different. I was the only person in my graduating class who went to Hanover, right? Everybody else went to a fucking Perdump and IU and Testicle Tech, you know. Meanwhile, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to a private college I really liked that, I applied for and got accepted to. And I received the acceptance letter while I was in the process of filling out another application, and then I just kind of threw the other application away, went fuck it. I'm in, so I don't need to expend any more effort. Things might have turned out quite differently had I gone to a public school. Definitely would have been cheaper. Definitely would have been cheaper. But and the experiences definitely would have been different. I probably wouldn't have some of the gaps in my memory that I have, most likely. Fuck, I might have gotten laid. Shit. All right, so here's where we present the here's where we present a conundrum. All right, here's where we present a conundrum, and I'm gonna take a drag off of this because I'm gonna need both hands for this one. So here's where we present the conundrum. Okay, so on one hand, we have the experiences that I, in reality have had, the good, the bad, and the ones I can't remember, right? We have those in this hand. On the other hand, we have the potential, you know, would have been around people that I went to high school with, probably, kept interacting with them, blah, 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 might have gotten laid. At this point, the question of if I did it all over again, would I change anything? You know? Hmm. Hmm. Then again, I mean, I don't know. Because on one hand, you know, I would do things the same, so that way I could, remember what I have, forgotten, or repressed. Probably more of the second. I mean, obviously some of the first, but mostly the second, probably. I'm gonna have to verify that though. Uh, but on the other hand, completely new set of experiences and only the potential of getting laid. That's a toss up for me. I don't know. Because like I said, again, one hand I can remember what I've forgotten and repressed, and on the other hand, you know, getting thrown into a much larger environment, a much different environment, and who would I come out as, in this camp? How would I be different? How would I be the same? How will I have gotten better? And how will I have gotten worse? All curious questions. All questions I'm curious about. But this is just one of those things, that is probably going to it's probably one of those questions that's going to multiply as I continue to get older. I mean, shit, if we believe the boys at pizza, I'm already, half dead, even though I'm not even 30 yet. Jesus. Which I'm getting close, but you know, I think I'm too deep in the VTuber sauce to where, turning 30, previously in my life wasn't really a big deal, but because I'm in that sauce, turning 30 is suddenly a thing that just kind of like wiggles in my mind. It's like, what the fuck? Or I think about it. I think about it a lot. It's like, damn, in 2 years I'm gonna be 30. What the fuck? I'm gonna be a geezer officially, and then, oh god, Oh my, I can already hear the boys. I can already hear the boys like, oh, you're 30, you're old now. It's like, I've been old since high school, at least in terms of like thoughts and mannerisms and outlook. You know, the only thing that's going to change is, you know, oh boy, there's a big 3-0. My God. Because let's see, I am 28. My closest sibling is 5 years younger, but then if we start going up, I'm pretty sure the next closest sibling is 7 years older, 6 or 7, whatever. And then the next one is 6 or 7 above that, and then the next one is again 6 or 7, and I think the next one is like 4 or 5. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask mom. I'm gonna have to ask my mom about that. Like, how? What's the age difference again? I know you know. I don't know. Oh wait, I could ask dad. I'm gonna talk to him before I talk to my mom tomorrow. And I was like, okay, dad, what is the pattern again? I forgot. You know, I can't remember. It's not something I think about normally. You know, but I know my, you know, since the majority of my siblings are older than me, you know, reflecting on their ages is strange. Even stranger still is, you know, when I went to the funeral, I forgot how old my nieces were and wasn't, you know, fully perceiving the passage of time. You know, I thought they were still kids. They're teenagers, which just, you know, that was more shocking to me than, you know, the whole being at the funeral thing. Like, just seeing them and being like, they're teenagers. What? You know, I forgot when they were born. And, you know, so, you know, and again, time just kind of, you know, without seeing them. Like, I didn't see them grow up. So it's just like, babies, teenagers. You know, there wasn't an in between that I witnessed, or at least not that I remember witnessing. So it's like, you know, so I was sitting like, shit, what the hell? You know, I could imagine it's going to be the same way with my stepbrothers and their kids. You know, their kids are probably. Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure at least a decent handful of their kids are going to be like legal adults now, like 18. What the fuck? That's going to be shocking. Like, we're going to have another gathering, and I'm going to, you know, they're going to, a variable number of them are going to show themselves, and I'm just like, what the hell? You know, it's not, you know, it's going to be a weird experience. You know, I'm going to consult with my dad about it. Like, wait, hold on. So, you know, that's such and such's kid, and she's how old now? You know, it's like, okay, that's, you know, such and such's kid. He's how old now? What the fuck? You know, it's gonna be this whole weird thing. It's gonna be this whole weird thing. But, you know, that's kind of what happens when you're like disconnected, like I am, and just don't go out of your way to interact. I mean, I guess it's not out of my way. It's perfectly within my power. I could, you know, talk to these people daily if I wanted, probably, damn near. But I don't. You know, just because they're busy with their lives, I'm busy with my life. I'm not gonna bother them. You know, that's kind of my general philosophy. That's why I don't really reach out often. You know, because people are busy. But considering I can just like text people and they can get back to me, that I really shouldn't have that apprehension. And I've been trying to break that. I've been reaching out to some of the old guildies, you know? I just don't know. I just don't know. Like, it's really incredibly curious. Oh, God's help me if I, you know, fucking, now that I think back to it, yeah, God's help me if I go to this, you know, 10-year reunion, assuming it's happening again, of course, and, you know, a bunch of people that I went to school with bring their kids. It's like, oh, shit. Oh, fuck. You know, it's gonna be this whole thing. It's like, oh, you have kids. It's like, oh, you're married. I knew that because I cyberstalked you. Oh, you have kids? Fuck. Okay, yeah, I'm you know, forever single, I guess. Unless, you know, unless the boy's like convoluted plan works. I don't think it will, considering, other people have made similar promises in the past, and, here we are. But, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think there are moments. There are moments that I foresee in the near future and the little bit further out future where I'm just going to be shell shocked by stuff. By mundane things. It's like, oh, you know, just, it's I'm just gonna have to get over it. I'm gonna have to just trudge through it, just figure it out. You know. Oh, what are you up to? What have you been up to over the past, 10 years? It's like, well, let's see. I went to undergrad where I had a spectrum of experiences, some of which I can't remember. Not due to, drug or alcohol abuse, but, because, natural forgetting and, repression. Uh, and then let's see, I graduated from that. I went to work at the Taco Bell for 7 years, and then got my master's degree in psychology. I became did therapy as the therapist. Didn't like it because of insurance companies. Got out, and now I run a pizza place. You know, yeah. Hmm. You know, saying all that, I know exactly. I'm gonna bring up my siblings to my dad. I know exactly what he's gonna say. He's gonna rattle off some shit like, "Oh well, the phone works two ways." Yes, Dad. Thank you. I I know. I am aware. My schedule is not exactly compatible with theirs because I imagine that they have the normal 9 to 5 and then the normal life after that. They get off work, I go to work. And that's basically how it's gonna be, for a while. Or at least until my boss switches up my schedule again. Which I need to ask him about that. Like, he said a couple weeks, it's been about a month. Not that I'm complaining, I'm just, checking, just want to check in on that. You know. Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what Dad's gonna say. I know exactly what he's gonna say, and I'm pretty sure it still catches him off guard that I'm aware of that. You know, which neither one of my parents, you know, both of my parents are put off by that. That I know them well enough that I can accurately predict their responses to to questions that I have and things that I say. You know, my dad used to do this thing, right? My dad used to do this thing where he would ask me a question, about about anything really, and I wouldn't even think about the answer. I would just give him the answer, and he'd always do this thing where he'd go, "Well, that was a really fast answer," and I just kind of look at it like, "Well, yeah." I mean, it got to the point to where you know, at first I didn't even know what to say. I just say, "Well, yeah, okay." Just whatever, and then we'd kind of just sit there with that, and then eventually it got to the point to where I just admitted to him, "It's like, yeah, I knew what you were gonna ask me. I knew, I have I have a tight enough grasp on the conversation, that I know how I know how it's going to flow. I know what you're going to ask." And yeah, he just, he eventually admitted, it's like, that's that's kind of off-putting that you can do that. I was like, well, I do it to Mom all the time. My mother hasn't admitted that, she's put off by that. I imagine she is. But then again, I have lived with her for the vast majority of my life, so I don't know, maybe she's used to it and isn't caught off guard by it. You know, I, I don't know. since I'm going to be doing this reintroduction thing tomorrow, I need to remember to take my rings. So that way I can just be just pimping. Which, you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to put on the rings for the last bit of stream just so I can wear them and show them off. I'll be right back. Man, I remember when I bought one of these rings with with part of my tax return, a small portion of it because, I don't like to I don't like to, I don't like to spend terribly. I don't like to spend a bunch of money all at once. I need to get a watch battery for that. I'm gonna wear the watch too. I'm gonna get a battery for it. Add that to the list. Okay. So we're gonna put the watch on in the rings. Cause let's see. I always remember that back when I was doing therapy, my clients were always weirded out that I write with my right hand, primarily. I'm ambidextrous, just like Grandma. But I write with my right hand. But I also have my watch on my right hand. That is one thing that clients consistently pointed out to me that they thought that was strange. Another thing they thought that was strange was, as you can clearly see, the watch face is on the underside of my arm. I don't wear it on my wrist because it restricts my movement too much. I wear it right here, but that the watch face was on the underside. That was another thing they found strange. And I don't I don't really have a defense for that. It's like, well, that's just how I, uh wear that's just how I wear my watch. And now I got to remember ring configuration. Because, it's a number of rings on one hand and a number of rings on the other. See, this one was the middle, and this one was the pointer, right? Because I used to, back when I was in undergrad, right? I would wear my rings every day. Of course, I would slowly accumulate more. Which way does this go? This way. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We got the, we're pimping. But, I would wear my rings every day. This one, this is the one I bought with my tax return. $200. Turkish silver, green amber. It's a lovely ring. Money well spent. But yeah, I've got my rings, I got my watch. I'll wear all this stuff tomorrow as I'll put it all on after my plasma appointment because I don't want to be wearing this crap. During the appointment because it's just gonna, they clink when I, put my hand together and all that. And I want to have complete full free range. And the watch is a little bit tight because I took a few segments out because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a slender, lanky skeleton of a man. So, finding things in my size has always been challenging. God help me when I was young and I would have to go pants shopping. God help me, I have figured out sizing for pants, and belts, it just works. It just works. Which, honestly, actually, on the subject of belts, a really interesting thing is about the uniform policy at Pizza Job is I'm pretty sure a belt is required, which is really strange. Because if you don't need a belt, why should you be forced to wear a belt? I don't know. But, if I were to ever do like a hand cam, stream where it's like, oh, I'm on the keyboard, I would wear the rings. Just, it's like, oh yeah, Jeezy's got it. See, because I've got 7 rings on, across 2 hands. I've got 5 on this one, 2 on this one, because in college, in undergrad, I had decided, I had kind of obsessed over King Solomon a little bit. Thanks, FGO. And part of that was, the 10 rings. And, so whatever. So I wear various rings as, as symbols for different stages of my life. I haven't gotten a new one in some time. Which, fucking, I don't know. I don't even know what the 8th one would represent, if anything. But I can tell you for certain. I can tell you for certain. I still do not believe that I will ever get up to 10 because I strictly reserve the 10th ring for my left ring finger. Which the symbolism behind such should be obvious, considering everything, the different things that I've talked about, and you know the placement of such a ring. So I am still firmly a believer that at the end of the day, at the end of life, I will have 9 rings, five on the right, 4 on the left, and that one will be missing. You know, I could be wrong about that. Life could, something in my life could happen that'll surprise me. I don't know. You know, it's like I told the boys when we had our 3-hour parking lot conversation. Is it was a little brief thing, but I mentioned how I said yeah, I'm optimistic, but I temper that optimism with realism. You know, because being blindly optimistic is not good. You're repeatedly disappointed, which is going to test that optimism. Uh, Meanwhile, being a realist, most people would falsely associate you with being a pessimist. Which yeah, can happen. I used to say that all the time. I was heavily pessimistic, but I would say, "Oh, I'm just a realist." Because I was a teenager. You know. But nowadays it's like, look, all right, I am actively working to improve things in different ways. That being said, and I'm optimistic about what those improvements will yield. That being said, I am aware that things might not turn out as I plan, as I please. So I'm ready for that too. It's I think I've actually achieved like real realism, you know, which is uplifted by optimism, and then the optimism is tempered by by actual real realism. So yeah, whatever. But I'm still really optimistic about next year. I really think next year is gonna be the year. Hoo hoo hoo. But then again, a conversation that I had with Aiden at one point, it seems that we're both under the impression that the dramedy will shift from his life to mine. God, I hope not. I mean, to a certain extent, yes, I hope so, because having something to laugh at in my own life aside from the normal day to day, would be encouraging. But the first half of that dramedy, I don't want to put up with. Not particularly. I mean, I don't want to, I don't want Aiden to put up with the first half of that either. You know, but you know, it's happening. So, and there's not an exhaustive list of things that could be done to stop it or prevent it. So it's I just kind of sit here and we kind of sit and just I just listen to what the fuck, and I mean I crack a couple. We both crack jokes just to lighten it up, but and I laugh. I laugh so much. I laugh so much. Just yeah. Oh, after I get off stream, I'm gonna have to plan the day, map out map out route, and figure out what the hell I'm gonna be doing. Figure out what the hell is going on. I'm also gonna need to get a screwdriver to pry the back plate off of this to figure out what battery I need, and then readjust the watch to be accurate. Cause this watch died at 6:20 ish. Whenever it died. Oh right, I think it died when I was. I think it died when I visited. When I was either going to go visit Grandma one time or when I was going to go see Dad one time. and I was wearing it, and it was working, and then suddenly it wasn't. Obviously, it'd have to be Dad if it's 6 o'clock, because you know, Grandma being formerly being an elder, early to bed, early to rise, kind of thing. Except she didn't really sleep; she catnapped, which I was used to because I grew up around her doing that. Where she'd kind of just catnap throughout the night while we watched murder shows together, and Reba, and what else? What else did we watch? No, primarily Reba and murder shows. I enjoyed watching Reba, and I enjoyed watching the murder shows, which we've had that discussion during the episode I did of this where I talked about TV shows I watched growing up. It's like, oh yeah, I watched all these cartoons, and then I also watched murder documentaries with my grandmother. And then I'd sit there and try to solve the mystery before the show told us. Maybe I should have become a detective. Not that being able to solve a murder mystery as outlined in a television show would make me a good detective, but it was something I enjoyed doing. The problem is, the areas that I've lived with don't really have much in the way of, stuff that would require a detective. You know, I guess I could be like a PI instead of, an agent of the state, which given how I am now, yeah, I probably I don't think I'd be a great agent of the state. I think I would definitely be private. But it could be a fun time. Could have been. Different life choices, different life choices. I remember in high school. In high school, we all had to take this absolutely abominable class. It was called preparing for college and careers, because if you don't go to if you get college or die, that was the prevailing message in high school: college or die. And so we all had, as part of the standard curriculum, we had to take PCC. And it's just expecting a high schooler who's expecting a high school freshman, all right, so somebody who is anywhere from like 13 to 15 years old to you know the way the class was structured, basically pick what they were going to do with their lives. Like, oh, hey, after you get out of school, what are you going to go to college for, freshman? you know so you go from junior high, which is grade 6 through 8, to which is just not thinking about it. You're just absorbing information that's thrown at you about various subjects, to more of that in high school, but at a higher level, obviously. And then also, hey, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? In the first year, in the first year of high school, they do this. If they spring this on you, if it was junior or senior year, I could understand having a course like that just to get people thinking about it. Junior year especially, because senior year people are you're gonna be applying to colleges and all this and that. Okay, understandable. Not ideal, but understandable. But hey, freshman, what are you gonna nail down as your career path? And I realize that sounds like, oh, they didn't do that. It felt like that. The way the class was structured, and the way the horrible in the way the horrible teacher for that class was, that is what it felt like. It felt like, this is what you will do. I'm pretty sure one of the things that I outlined after taking God's know how many faulty personality tests, was like, be a brewmaster. One of the things that popped up on my job list: brewmaster. I don't drink. I'm pretty sure being a brewmaster would would quite possibly necessitate that I do so. Taste the brew, see if it's good or bad. But that was one of the things I had to do a project on. Was, oh, here's what a brewmaster does. INTP or whatever. I don't remember the fucking letters because the Myers Briggs is a shit personality test. But it's like, I'll tell you what didn't show up on there. Pizza Man. Pizza Man didn't show up on that. And I'm pretty sure and I had to do I for one of the freshman classes that I had to take, like the freshman orientation class that I had to take in undergrad, we got like a super quick light version of that where it's like, okay, well, you have to declare your major by the end of next year. By the end of sophomore year. So, what are you thinking in terms of, what career linked to your major are you going for? That was a lot more reasonable because I mean you're in college. Obviously, the idea of your career after college is going to be something that you're going to be thinking about alongside your major. That makes sense to me. But I went with interrogator since it's like, oh, I'm going to be a psych major, so I'm going to be an interrogator. That I mean, that could have been cool. But again, the whole agent of the state thing, I kind of just put that on there just again because it sounded cool. Also, I think I was the only psych major in my group that chose interrogator. I was not the only psych major, but I think I was the only one that chose interrogator, which I have compared to when I was in high school, the undergrad version of myself was more aware of how my presentation would lead people to, interpret who I am as a person. And so me going up saying, "Yeah, I want to be," I think being an interrogator would be a good career choice. Ooh, maybe that's why I had so much trouble. I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons why I had trouble uh connecting with people in undergrad. Maybe that's one of the. I think that might be a contributing reason. The false claims of being various ists and phobes definitely were the major contributor, but perhaps saying, "Oh, you're going to, oh, I'm interested in being an interrogator," would not rub people the right way, especially on a, you know, cop hating campus. Mm, you know, maybe. But I didn't say pizza man. I didn't really see that. Didn't really see that in my future. I did one time for Halloween. I didn't have a costume idea, so I thought it'd be funny to wear my Taco Bell uniform on Halloween. And in one class, the professor did spot me and asked, like, what are you dressed up as? And it was a philosophy course. I remember it was a philosophy course, and I said, "Oh, well, that's easy. For some people in here, I'm the past, and for others, I'm the future." Didn't really think at the time, oh, that applies to me. But I definitely got some nasty looks when that joke kind of clicked in people's heads. I definitely got some nasty looks in the crowd. I got a couple of chuckles as well. But when you go to a college campus that is predominantly aligned a certain way politically, humor is something that goes underappreciated, especially when it's in a when it's in a certain branch, like that. But maybe that's another reason why I had trouble, you know, establishing connections with people in college was those differences in worldview. You know, that's one of the reasons why, you know, some people that I went to high school with are not easy to connect with. You know, but c'est la vie, I guess. Ugh. All right. Well, it is almost 5:30 and I'm just rambling. So I'm going to finish this up and quickly map out my route and get to bed. Once again, I thank you for sitting here and listening to me ramble and rant about, you know, various topics, and I will see you all next week.